All right, so Ryan, thank you for letting me film your workout today. So here we are in Sutton in Quebec, and we are about a week away from the OCR World Championships, OCR Obstacle Course Racing. So today you're doing a hill repeats workout, so an intensity session.
Yeah.
So can you just start by explaining what the workout is exactly?
Yeah, sure. So this workout is actually a little unique, not really something that most people do or think of. I'm actually running like 1 minute up the hill.
Yeah.
Then I'm turning around and running 30 seconds back down, but at full intensity.
Okay.
And I'm doing that times 4, so no rest between. So the idea is to run the uphills somewhere between like tempo and threshold, and then to run the downs as fast as possible. So
Okay.
you're kind of working on that transitioning between running uphill to downhill and like switching that running technique as you go through. So it's kind of as much as like a technical training as it is like a physical training. So it ends up kind of pushing up into like a VO2 max effort. And so you do that for 6 minutes because there's 4 of them, and then I'm going to repeat that 4 times. And then at the end I'm going to do a long descent down with just 1 climb at the end. So it's kind of like a bit of more preparation for the race that's happening this weekend in Stratton, Vermont, and I'm trying to kind of replicate what we're going to see in the race, just so that I have confidence when I get there towards the end of the race to kind of really push and
And I guess most people know you because you're a very strong like obstacle racer, but you're also very good at many different individual sports like trail running, cycling, cross-country skiing, skimo. So what percentage would you say of your training volume is concentrated on running specifically? And how do you think this sort of balance of doing so many different activities like helps you?
Yeah, honestly, the percentage of running really changes throughout the year, and depending on my focus and kind of like my excitement for different events. Right now, running is like, 80%, because coming into this fall, I have kind of like obstacle course racing world championships. I have more Spartan races. We're going to race Sky Masters finals in Spain. So it's like now it's really big focus on running. But earlier in the year, it was probably only like 10 or 15% of my training was running, and I was doing a lot more cycling. In the winter, it's more, like you said, skimo, cross-country skiing, things like that, and even like indoor cycling, Zwifting and stuff. So I don't know if it's like really the best like approach from a performance standpoint, but I think from a mental standpoint, it keeps me like really engaged and excited. And I've been racing for like 12 plus years now, and so now I just do the races that I really want to do and that excite me, instead of like the races that I feel like I should do. And so I kind of base my training off of that.
Okay, awesome. And now we have a little bit of a warm-up, and then we're gonna start the workout.
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, let's do it. All right, downhill. Good job, man. All right, first set done. How'd it go?
Good, yeah.
Nice.
I think so.
Like for a workout like this, where you can't really look at pace during the workout,
Yeah.
is there any data that you look at, like heart rate, grade adjusted pace, or
Yeah, gap or VAM,
right?
things like that. But like honestly, it's so short that
You can't really look at your watch or anything.
mostly feel
Right.
a little bit heart rate.
Okay.
But heart rate's more just like to monitor my fatigue levels.
Okay.
So if I can get my heart rate up, especially on like the first set, then I know my fatigue is pretty good.
Okay.
I did a really hard workout Saturday night,
Okay.
so not a lot of recovery between this, but this is like my last hard workout
Okay.
for the race,
Nice.
because the race is on Friday.
Oh, okay.
So the 3K.
Yeah.
Oh, perfect day.
Yeah, for an intensity workout, it's the best. You know, You know, like epic conditions.
Yeah.
I like it. All right.
And flip it.
Great job. Great job, man. That's good, man. Whew. So if you were to say, like, on a scale from 1 to 10, like, how would you rate your efforts now? Is it more like VO2 max, or?
Yeah, getting up there. But because you're changing,
yeah,
it's like not as bad. So maybe like 8.
Okay. Because like I suppose when you go downhill, even though like muscularly it's maybe a bit more difficult, where your heart rate maybe isn't as high, I guess, or?
I've kind of found the opposite.
Oh really? Okay.
Yeah. Like at the Whiteface Sky Race, my highest heart rate was going downhill.
Okay. Oh, that's interesting.
But that might be because I was less trained in running, so I couldn't get my like running heart rate up. But like gravity was almost like pushing it higher.
Okay.
But yeah, it would make sense that would be the case.
Yeah.
That like downhills would be lower. But cool. Ça glisse.
Good job, man. Whew. Well, one more set to go.
Yeah.
Good job. And you're going so fast in the downhill, it's crazy.
It's nice that it's wet because it like makes it a little harder, because I think our race is probably gonna be dry.
Okay.
So then it like gives you so much more confidence.
Right.
When it's dry.
Yeah, it's good. And like on a typical week, what percentage would you say of your training is intensity training? I guess it depends, like
yeah,
on the time, but
like when I'm earlier this year, when I was mostly biking, I was riding like 20 to 25 hours a week.
Okay.
And then maybe doing like 2 hours of running.
Okay.
And I'd say then it's like very small amount is intensity.
Okay.
Probably only, 5 to 10%.
Right.
But now that I like built up that base and I've switched to running, now it's like 30%.
Okay.
Just for the last couple of weeks.
Right. So like the closer you get to race,
Yeah.
you up the percentage
Up
of
the
intensity, lower the
a
volume.
lot. And now I'm only training like, well, I'm doing strength every day,
Okay.
which is like 30 minutes to an hour.
Okay.
And then I'm doing, like, I think around 60 to 80 kilometers of running.
Nice.
And then like 3 to 6 or 7 hours of biking.
Cool.
So like half of what I was doing earlier this year, but the load feels pretty similar.
Yeah, since it's more intense. Alright, are we going up this now?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. So it's steeper for the last part.
Yeah. Perfect. I wasn't sure si tu passes certaine si tu aurais voulu que je parle en français aujourd'hui.
Oh no.
Mais
I
avec
can put subtitles too, so
avec
that's fine.
l'intensité, ça devient de plus en plus difficile. I'm gonna go up.
Okay.
Ready?
This is downhill now?
Yeah.
All right, let's do it. Great job, great job. Oh yeah. Oh, good job, man. That was good work, man.
Yeah.
That was good.
That was hard.
Man, that downhill. How'd you do that?
Oh. I was worried you might have fallen.
Yeah, well, I almost felt like a few times, but man, it was slippery. But you felt so comfortable, like super smooth all the way.
There was like 2 spots that were a little sketchy.
Yeah.
But
do you have any tricks for downhill running? Like specifically also for this type of terrain maybe, or?
well, like normally if the ground is grippy,
Yeah.
like you want to like land forefoot
Yeah, okay.
and almost like every time you land you slide just a couple inches,
Okay.
like ideally.
Yeah, it's a good point because every time I slid I felt like I was on my heel, so.
Yeah, but then when it gets really soft and you start slipping, you actually change to like hitting all your lugs in at the same time, because then you're getting more surface area,
Okay.
so you don't slip as much. So you're kind of like changing that as the grade changes a little bit. But I mean, it's just practice.
Yeah.
I do downhill intervals sometimes,
Yeah.
which I think are really useful. So I take like a slope like this, or maybe a little steeper, that's like a little rockier,
Yeah.
and then I hike up like super easy.
Okay.
Maybe like heart rate, like doesn't matter, like 110 to 130,
Okay.
and then it usually takes about 6 minutes to get up. And at the top I hit my watch and I do 1 minute. Like I usually stop at the top, like
Just
get
to
my
completely
breath,
recover.
really focus so you're like totally recovered,
Yeah.
and then you just do 1 minute down, like as hard and as fast as you can possibly go.
Nice. Yeah, it builds confidence
People do
also.
it this way.
Yeah. Let's build their confidence also.
Yeah, because then you're doing it with like a fresh mind,
Yeah.
instead of like, we're always like doing downhills like when we're tired, right?
Yeah.
But
Yeah, you're right.
your mind is like, it's like a skill. You're learning to do something, right?
Yeah.
So if you do that and you're super focused and you're fresh and stuff, then yeah, you can push a lot harder.
So now your race is your first race is Friday.
Yeah.
So what's your plan for the next couple days? Any more intensity or just mostly chill, relaxed training?
I might do a little intensity, but like keep it under threshold,
Right.
and keep it short. Basically nothing where I like have to feel like I'm pushing.
Okay.
So just like snappy. I like doing some of those sessions on the treadmill,
Okay.
because like you can run pretty fast.
Yeah. And it's
like-
controlled, like.
And it's controlled and it's soft,
Yeah.
so it doesn't beat up your legs as much.
Okay. Well, man, thanks for letting me film your workout, man, and best of luck this weekend.
Thank you. Yeah.